Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. It's that time of year again, the fall reset season. The days are getting shorter, the air feels a little crisper, and the garden is naturally slowing down. This is the time when I like to take stock of what's still thriving, what needs a little cleanup, and what can simply rest for the winter ahead. Today, I'm focusing on cutting back perennials in my garden, but not everything should be trimmed just yet. Some plants appreciate a good cleanup in the fall to stay tidy and healthy, while others are better off waiting until spring so they can offer structure, shelter, or even food for wildlife throughout the cooler months. So my plan for today is to take you all with me as I decide what to cut back for the winter season and what to leave up for winter interest and for the pollinators. And hopefully this can help you all decide what to cut back and what to leave in your garden. Now, not everything needs to be cut back in the fall, and honestly, some things should be left in the fall. It should be left up over the winter time because some plants are really good habitat or even food for pollinators. Sometimes the plant needs the protection from the cold, and so leaving that foliage there helps protect them from frost or even freezes. And just for our enjoyment, sometimes leaving plants up for winter interest during those cold months when nothing really is going on, it benefits us just to leave the plants up during this season. So for instance, my Russian sage. This is my denim and lace Russian sage right here, and I am going to leave it up. You can see that it's kind of flopped a little bit even, and I've staked it up, but I'm still going to leave it. I'm not going to cut it back, even though I kind of want to, because this is going to protect the crown. All of this extra foliage is going to protect the crown from frost. If we do get any heavy frost this year, it's going to make sure that these plants will last through the cold season. And then in the late winter, early spring, I'll cut these back and they'll flush back nice and new. Hi, bud. How are you? Are you having a good day out here? Lavender is another one that you don't really want to cut back this time of year because you want all this beautiful foliage to protect the plant from the cold. You can trim this up a little bit, right? Trim off the craziness, but you want to be careful. You don't want to trim it too much this time of year. Wait until your last frost has passed. Ornamental grasses are a big one that's really important to leave up for the winter season. They're so good as a habitat, a home for pollinators to kind of hide in and to keep warm during those winter months. But also, what a fabulous, fabulous plant for winter interest. I find this so beautiful. This is one of my favorite plants for winter interest. This is Niagara Falls panicum. And I just think the fluffy seed heads in the morning sun in the winter is just one of the most beautiful things. So why waste it by cutting it back this time of year? For this plant, for this grass and other grasses in my garden, I'm going to wait till late January, February to cut it back before the new growth occurs, so that I'm not cutting off any of the new growth when I do prune it, but I can just enjoy this. Look at how beautiful this is all winter long. If you all are wondering about our massive pile of wood chips, we are making progress on it. These are all the sticks that we've been taking out, and it's been quite a project. We actually had some guys come and help us. We're spreading it in front of the fence over here just as mulch because honestly, I don't want this in my main garden. But behind the big pile of wood chips, I'll show you some more of my Russian sage back here that I am going to leave up for the winter, just to protect the crown and make sure that it lasts and it comes back again next year. Another plant that you want to be careful about cutting back in the fall is lantana. Now lantana, it can die back if it gets too cold. And for us here in Zone 9B, it's pretty much a given. It's going to overwinter for us. But we have had some like cold snaps, you know, every couple years or so. So it's safest, your best bet is just to leave it over the winter and wait until late winter, early spring to cut it back. Plus, it's gonna keep blooming for a really long time throughout the fall and even into the winter. It can take a couple of frosts. The hummingbirds are still on it, the bees are still all over it, so you might as well leave it up, enjoy it while you have it, and just wait until it's time to cut back the grasses to cut back the lantana. Now, I know I'm talking about perennials today, but since I'm over here, I might as well throw in a shrub just to remind you all not to cut it back in the fall, and that is Buddleia or butterfly bush. This is Pugster amethyst, and you would think that it'd be okay to cut it back now at this time, but this plant is really susceptible to getting bitten by the cold, and so you want to make sure that you leave all this nice, beautiful foliage here to protect it over the winter season, and then for me, it's January or February that I would cut it back. It's kind of the same thing as when you want to cut back panicle hydrangeas, right? It's all around that same time when we're really not going to get any significant frost anymore, and it's before any of the new growth happens, so you're not going to hurt the new growth. So butterfly bush is one you want to wait on as well. Kniphofia or red hot poker is another one that's really good to wait until late winter, early spring because you like all that foliage to protect the crown. Same with hardy hibiscus. You want to wait until about February to cut this back to about 6 inches. Here where I live in Zone 9B, heuchera is a semi-evergreen for us, so if it gets cold enough, it'll lose its foliage, but most of the time it keeps its foliage throughout the winter season. So this is another good one to leave up for winter interest and for habitat for pollinators. But if you live in a cooler environment than I do, this would be a good one to clean up at this time of year. It just kind of depends on how cold your climate is. But for us here in California in Zone 9B, this is one I'm going to leave throughout the winter season. Now, don't feel bad if you're the type of gardener that likes to clean up in the fall. You have to do what works for your garden. You have to do what works for your schedule as a gardener. And I actually used to be the type of gardener that would clean everything up in the fall. I had a full-time job. I had 2 young kids. For me, it made more sense to clean everything up in the fall. It just worked better for me. Now, though, in this season of my life, I find that I get a lot less overwhelmed with fall cleanup and cutback if I spread it out, doing some in the fall and then some in the late winter, early spring. So I tend to like it this way a little bit better. I can be a little bit more lazy this time of year, but I just don't want you all to feel bad if you're the type that likes to clean up in the fall. Not, one way is not better than the other. I do have to say though, I really love leaving some habitat for the birds and for the pollinators. But there are some plants that for the health of your garden and for the health of the plant, it's better to cut it back in the fall. And let me show you those right now. So one perennial that we all know is really good to clean up in the fall is, of course, the hosta. The foliage on the hosta can turn quite mushy in cold weather, and it's the perfect breeding ground and habitat for slugs and snails, 2 pests that we definitely don't want to live over the winter in our garden. So it's important to clean the foliage of the hosta up in the fall. Now, I'm a little bit ahead of schedule for my fall cleanup, so my foliage hasn't completely died back yet, so I ended up having to snip them with my pruners. But if your foliage has already died back, it's really easy to just go in there with your hands and grab the foliage, yank it out to clean it up. Another perennial that's really important to clean up in the fall is the daylily. It's so important to remove the dead foliage of the daylily because it prevents rot. If you look deep underneath all of this foliage, there's a lot of really old stuff, and this can rot the crown of this plant. This plant is also notorious for harboring over some really bad bugs that you don't want in your garden. There were so many aphids hiding in here. I thought it felt so good to clean this out because I knew I was taking away this habitat for aphids and it was going to help my aphid population come next spring. Once the foliage of your yarrow turns brown, you want to cut that back to the base as well as catmint or nepeta. You can see both mine are still in full bloom, so I couldn't bring myself to clean it up just yet. Other perennials that are really good to cut back this time of year are things like Shasta daisies, monardas, penstemons, coreopsis, salvias, especially like Salvia gregii. Those are really good to cut back to encourage bushy new growth. So all of that stuff is totally fine to cut back this time of year, and it'll clean up your garden and make it look spick and span, ready for the winter season. Okay, side note, Sadie just walked in here to show me what she just made. She just crocheted a Dig Plant Water Repeat Christmas ornament. Just randomly out of the blue. Sadie! Holy cow! How does my kid know how to do that? Isn't that amazing? Oh my goodness. Absolutely not. Not a toy. This is not a toy. No way. No way, man. Not a toy. Okay, so back to the perennials. To decide whether or not you need to cut it back, or if you're really confused on whether a plant needs to be cut back in the fall or wait until spring, take a good look at the plant. Slow down and look at the plant. Does it look green? Does it look lush and healthy? Does it look like it would be a good habitat or maybe some good food for birds or pollinators? If it looks like it would be really good to leave up during the winter and really good winter interest, then go ahead and leave it. If it looks brown or mushy or moldy, or you can see the bad bugs in there, like I could see the aphids in my daylilies, then you want to go ahead and you want to cut that back. Also, a good Google search always helps. But what I always like to do this time of year is I like to stop and I like to think about what I'm going to leave up in my garden first. What I'm going to leave for winter interest, leave for the pollinators and for the wildlife over the winter, and leave to protect the crowns, just so I make sure I don't accidentally cut something back when I don't really want to. Once you've decided what you're going to leave, then you can go for the things that you're going to cut back. So I think the important thing I really want to emphasize for today's video for cutting back your perennials is that there are some guidelines that are really easy to follow, which I talked about in this video, but I also want to remind everyone that every season is a little bit different. Every fall season year to year, every winter season year to year, every garden and every gardener is a little bit different. So you have to make the decision for yourself what you want to cut back and what you want to leave over the winter for winter interest, for habitat, or to protect those plants, and make that decision yourself. My goal for this video is to inspire all of you to get out into your garden and to really think about what you're going to leave and what you're going to clean up this time of year. I really am enjoying this time of year, this season, because I'm taking it really slow and I'm not cutting back as many things as I normally would. I haven't cut back a single annual yet, and it actually kind of feels good. So I'm kind of excited about it, but that's just where I'm at for this season. It might completely change next season. So anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.